take advantage tonight. Been an interesting time, no question about it. So we will we'll see how it goes, man. It's an interesting time still with lots of there's still just a lot going around, so you got to be leery of it, no question. Let's get to the race report brought to you by CanTorque. They're expanding. You have a mechanical aptitude, willing to get dirty, enjoy solving customers' problems. Oh, that describes you. They want you on their team. No experience preferred. Send your resume to info@CanTorque.com. Unlimited joins us once again, and a lot going on in the world. Colin, I guess let's start with NASCAR. Kyle Larson punched his ticket to the final round of the NASCAR playoffs. I don't know, we put playoffs in parentheses, but that's what they call it, so that's fine. But what do you make of it? Is there anybody you see as a favorite heading into the final round of the playoffs in NASCAR?
So much of this, so much of racing and so much of this stuff comes down to luck. I mean, again, it was one of the first lessons about racing my father-in-law taught me is you can never win without it. And, like right now, Larson is absolutely unquestionably the guy to beat. But the way the whole thing works is it basically, comes down to the last race. You've got to be there, one of the last four guys on the last day, and who puts it together on that day is the one that walks away with the championship. There's still a lot of contenders. I mean, I wouldn't overlook the remaining, contenders from Joe Gibbs, which is namely Truex, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin are still running strong. Between those four, I think that's what it's going to come down to. But, on a given day without any bad fortune, Larson is just, he is in a different league right now than everybody else.
Colin, at this point, and they're so close to the end, is there much tweaking of the cars to try to improve it? Or are they trying to just keep it running the same way that it has because it's brought success for these specific four racers?
Oh no, they're throwing everything that they've got at the cars all the time. I mean, the R&D is nonstop, especially at these top levels. These are going to be the last few races of this style of car. Next year is going to be the next gen car. So what's nice for the team, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense is that, the next two races of this round of I always have to say, quote, playoffs for Larson, he doesn't have to do anything at this point. He can race, at the back. He is already in the finals. So they can take all of their resources now and focus on what they're going to do in that final round. When with the rest of the competitors, they obviously, if you win, you get the bye to the next round, but playoff points are really important. So, winning a stage gets you points that carry into the next, they get you points for this round, but it also helps carry into the next round. So a lot of these guys, especially the guys that are below the cut line are going to have to fight the next two races, to have their best shot of carrying on. But no, everybody is throwing everything they've got every race. If you can find a little thing aerodynamically, mechanically, that gets you a bit of grip or a bit of, like, everyone is they're dumping resources like they haven't all year into these final races for sure, especially the playoff contenders.
Colin Linson joins us in the CanTorque Racing Report. For the first time in 2 years, F1 is returning to the Americas. The next three races are going to be here. You got the U.S. Grand Prix, then the Mexican Grand Prix, followed by the Brazilian Grand Prix. Now, the COTA racetrack, Lewis Hamilton has dominated there. He's won, I think, 5 times, 5 times out of 6 that he's raced there. And that's even with 2 different teams. So it's not necessarily even the team he's been in. He just likes that. So when you look at track, what is it about Hamilton's skill set that allows him to dominate on this track at the Circuit of Americas in Austin?
Well, these are so much, I would always relate it back to something else. And it's like a golfer can really excel at certain golf courses that, the saying is it just fits their eye. COTA is a really, really awesome racetrack that it's got kind of everything you want in a Grand Prix circuit, or an IndyCar circuit or whatever, for a road course event. It's got, at least everything that I love is it's got the elevation change. So when they come barreling down the front straightaway, and hopefully we get some people tuning in this weekend, but they come barreling down the front straightaway, and on lap one, when the cars are packed up, there is really no room to make a mistake, and you climb multi stories up a hill to a hairpin. Like that's unseen and unheard of almost anywhere else. Immediately once you scoot through that hairpin, you get into the S's, and it's like, continuing to tighten. So it's 3 or 4 left and right back to backs, but the radius gets tighter as you go. So the cars are progressively slowing down, which is throwing a lot of grip, challenges at the drivers. Then you've got crazy long straightaways, which are good for drivers because it gives you a chance to recover. The racetrack is actually kind of a compilation of a bunch of other racetracks. They took the turn 8 from Turkey, is turn 16 through 18 out there. They based a lot of the track on the best parts of some of the other racing venues, and where it challenges so many different elements. It's no surprise that a guy like Hamilton can do so well there. Really, this is the next 3 races, I think, are going to be, I think there's only 7 left, but the next 3 are really going to go a long way to find out who's got the edge between Mercedes and Red Bull, because, Red Bull's kind of had the mechanical edge over the first half of the season. It seems like Mercedes really closed the gap, but there hasn't been a true dry test to see where these cars are really at. Challenge of the Americas is going to be, I'm really split on who's going to have the advantage there in my head. Like kind of 50-50, could be anyone. When they get to Mexico, the big challenge is altitude. And at the same time, it's also fairly dirty air. Like, I mean, it's not a big secret that Mexico City is a fairly harshly air polluted town, and that really affects the cars, and Red Bull's done super well there. So the next month, which is the next 3 races, is just going to be, it's going to be awesome to watch for sure.
You talk about COTA and how it's a great place for fans to see what's going on in the long straightaways and the hairpin turns, but you've also touched on, I believe, about how it's such a great place to watch. So what makes that track so unique as far as a viewing spots for the fans?
Well, there's so many different things, like the elevation changes. If you get into the higher points of the track, you can see so much of the racetrack. If you get to the infield, it's really similar to Hockenheim, where it's kind of a stadium section. So the grandstands give you a really unique perspective of the last sections. They've got the massive tower. So I think there's an elevator, but I mean, it is super many stories up, which if you can get to the top of that thing, you can see everywhere. And, I'm trying to avoid the typical cliches that are gonna dominate the broadcast this weekend of, everything's bigger in Texas. And, I've already seen pictures of satin cowboy shirts that some of the drivers are choosing to wear, and cowboy hats, and, the focus on the barbecue that's down there. But, one thing for sure is the hospitality in that part of the world is really tough to beat. So, overall, it's it's a great experience for the drivers. They love coming over to the States, and you can really tell by their comments that they enjoy themselves in North America. But from a TV perspective, it's really well put together. And I still haven't made it there, but a lot of my buddies go down to that race in a typical year, and they check it. They put it on the calendar as the one that they want to go back to year after year. So it's universally accepted as an awesome event.
Colin Livingston joins from the CanTorque Racing Report. Now, this weekend, for people, you don't have to necessarily get up super early. You don't have to PVR it because the start times, I think it's 1 o'clock for the race on Sunday. But tomorrow, actually, F2 is racing from 3:30 to 5 on TSN2. You see any drivers from F2 that you think are going to get promoted to F1?
Well, there's always a couple. The thing that's on tomorrow though is FP2. So that's the free practice 2 for Formula 1. We won't get to see any of the F2, so there is no F2 racing this weekend, but yeah, I mean it's a really interesting trend that so many F1 drivers that lose their ride, or the up and coming drivers that have been in that the Formula 1 ladder, we're seeing so many of them land in IndyCar, and it was announced the other day that former driver Nico Hulkenberg has a test lined up with McLaren at Barber for, I think, Monday or Tuesday. But that got me thinking about a lot of these drivers that have come over from F1, and for people who are either new to motorsport or don't really don't really pay attention to some of these things, like um, you know uh, Alexander Rossi, who was doing really, really well with Andretti Autosport. He was a Red Bull Toro Rosso driver. He came back and is doing really well in IndyCar. Obviously Sebastian Bourdais won 4 championships in kart, the old champ car. He went over to Toro Rosso. Marcus Ericsson, now running under Chip Ganassi, or pardon me, he's with McLaren, doing super well. Grosjean has done super well. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on with these guys. And now, a name that most people probably aren't familiar with, but that's done really well in Formula 2 is a kid named Callum Ilott. And he agreed to a contract with Rahal Letterman, so he's coming over to IndyCar. So it's there seems to be both series seem to be doing really well. F1 has done really well as far as their broadcasting goes, and obviously they span the world, but IndyCar is really starting to attract a lot of talent that otherwise would have been a little hesitant to come over, thinking that the cars aren't as good, or the technology wasn't what they were accustomed to. But I think it's there's a really big swing right now to the open wheel world, instead of the broadcast that of stock cars and NASCAR that was so popular for so long. It just seems like the pendulum swinging.
Colin, before I let you go, I just want to talk about a tweet that CanTorque sent out. Said you're hiring, and mechanical aptitude needed, and willing to get dirty. And I saw it. I was like, I'll throw my name in the hat. And I asked if mechanical aptitude is required, and I got a pretty harsh pushback. So,
is that right?
Should I or should I not send in my resume? I can't tell which side you're on.
Well, keep in mind, I don't handle all of the social media that is under the CanTorque umbrella. So I'll have to go back and take a look at that. But Strutty, you would always be welcome here. I mean, I know that your command of our technology is not really it's not really there, but we're really looking for someone that we can train. And I mean, based on your current knowledge level, you're a perfect candidate. Like, we could definitely fill your head with all of our procedures and all of our formulas.
I thought you wanted someone who's mechanically inclined, though.
Yeah, but I'll admit I'm not that, but I'm willing to get dirty. I love solving problems, and I have an excellent attitude. And whoever responded said, "We don't need your singing and dancing." And I was like,
"Oh, wow."
Who shot that back?
Hey,
wow.
Hey, I like it. Somebody's got a good sense of humor. I love it.
Howling.
Yeah. There is definitely no place here for a guy who thinks that he can keep up with Elton John as a singer, but maybe it would be good on Friday afternoons and at our corporate outings. So there, I mean, you got to sell yourself, right, buddy?
Well, I don't even get a chance. I'm not even gonna get a shot.
I mean, the real trick is we need to see a resume. So those actually come to me. So I mean, I haven't been keeping a close eye on the email, but maybe it's in there. So we'll get back to you. But yeah, well, I also don't want to steal you away from Gregor. That's a little predatory, and that's not really our style.
You need a lot of time to work through my resume, buddy. I'll send it over.
Yeah,
I would love to see your resume. Actually,
I'll put it together.
Oh, when was the last, okay, you've been working on radio now, but prior to that, because the NHL is not a job, really, that's it's a sport, it's an event, but it's a very unique thing. It's not really like it's, to go in sales, it would help you for sure. But so what would be prior, what would be your other actual job that would go on Strudwick's resume?
I've got a couple. So number one would be yard maintenance in high school. Next would be carpet cleaning. I did that for Dominion Carpet Cleaning. I was very good at my job. There was a bit of golf time there. I was a back shop guy, golf, cleaning up golf balls and stuff and bags. And then there's about 20 years of hockey. And now there's been about 10 years of the media. So it's not a very long resume, but if Colin, if you think it'll push me over the top, and someone else chipped at me, they don't want it when there was skinny jeans on. I was like, what is going on here? Like, I'm a potential worker, and I'm getting chirped on so many levels.
Hey, I'll tell you what, if you've got the carpet cleaning experience, I've got that on my resume as well back in the Alberta carpet cleaning days. So that's no easy task. And you got to really bust your backside to be successful at that. So that gave you a little bit of a step forward for sure.
Well, I'll say that Struddy is now I think he tried to apply to be a shoveler at the intermission. Sorry, at the Oilers. So that was one time. So I think this is a new trend that Struddy likes to see. Who can hire him potentially, but I'm not sure how serious he is about it.
Well, GS Construction didn't even think about it.
Oh, actually, I saw Turan Sandwich, and we were talking about that, and he said a lot of the staff were a little leery of your safety record. They weren't sure if you would necessarily be good for safety.
Hey, don't be telling CanTorque that. They're listening right now. Trying to send him a resume.
Well, and I grew up with Turan. I mean, he was a product of Meridian Heights School when we were kids a long time ago. So we can compare notes there too.
Oh, I love it. Colin, I enjoy a rare afternoon F1 for race fans.
Looking forward to
F1
it.
and NASCAR. So you'll be probably channel surfing between the two of them.
I know I will be for sure.
Awesome. Thanks. That's Colin Livingston joins us with the CanTorque